It's Mark from Top Local. We're here with John Nieuwenburg. He's a business coach in Vancouver, BC, one of the highest rated ones in North America. How you doing, John?
Doing great. Thank you very much, Mark. How about yourself?
Good. Life is really good. So we're going to talk about sales calls. Making all the sales calls you need. What do people do about that, John?
Well, this has come up a couple of times with some of my clients and coaching sessions in the recent past, and so it's a fairly common phenomenon: sales call reluctance, fear of making a sales call. The phone turns into the heaviest weight lifting item that you could think of if you went to the gym. The thing weighs 1,000,000 pounds and I can't pick it up. And so what's that all about? What causes that to happen? And, you know, in so many cases, it's some fear. And that fear usually is about things that we're telling ourselves about what's going to happen or what people will think when we make the call. And almost certainly it's negative. We create all these negative scenarios or negative thoughts about what's going to happen. And so my first question to you as a business owner, if that's what's going on for you, is what would you have to think? How would you replace those things you're saying to yourself so that in fact it would become something positive instead of negative? One way that I sometimes talk about this with clients is what would you have to believe so that you could say you get to make sales calls instead of I have to make sales calls. And to put that in a bit of perspective, do you have to take your wife out for dinner, or do you get to take your wife out for dinner? And you can see there's a massive change in the energy involved and the perspective that you have and the way that you think about it when you shift your language from one of dread and obligation and generally not very satisfying to one where it becomes much more positive and forward-looking. So the first thing I would ask a client like that is, what would your affirmations, what would your self-talk have to be so that it became a positive thing? So the first thing is I get to make some sales calls. Well, why would that be something I get to do instead of have to do? Well, I get to talk to people about helping them solve their problem, fear, or frustration. So often we have clients who we provide a gift as a salesperson. A gift, yes, I mean capital letter gift, when we help our client, our prospect, define and articulate what their problem, fear, or frustration is, what they need some help with. So our clients often walk around with a general vague idea that things aren't the way they want to be, but our sales process, the quality of the questions we ask, help our prospects define and articulate what's not working for them. And then the second part of the gift is to help them define and articulate what it would be if things were in their preferred state going forward. And if you do that for people, they will appreciate you. And that appreciation comes in a reciprocity or reciprocal of, will you help me get to that place? So I often think that my best prospects are ones that I win their confidence because the quality of my questions help them get how we can help. So for those of you who have sales call reluctance, think about the question of what would I need to do so that I can think of it as getting to make a sales call instead of have to. So what specific self-talk can I proactively engage in before I start making the call? That self-talk is happening at a negative level, sort of subconsciously or not mindfully. Let's change that. Let's make it mindful self-talk that creates a positive outcome, and shift from thinking of selling as something that we're doing to people to shift it to something that we're doing to help people solve a problem, fear, or frustration that they want some help with. So the bottom line is sales calls can be something that you dread or something that you look forward to. And the difference is not at all about your prospect. It's entirely about what you think of it, how the way that you shape it up and the way that you think. So if you want some help with that, of course I can, that's some of the stuff that I help my clients with. So there you go, Mark.
So would you say that writing those phrases down would be a really important step in doing this?
Yeah, very much. So let me ask you a kind of a broader question. Mark, do you have a written definition of the best you can be? Do you have something defined that says, when I'm at my best, this is who I'm becoming? And in my case, I have 16 of those affirmations. They're written. They're in the most obvious file on my computer. I keep them on my bedside stand, and I visit them routinely and regularly, and I would say not always religiously, but daily. My goal is to visit with them daily. In the beginning, I used to kind of just recite them, and that gets kind of old in a hurry. It's kind of going back to Catholic school and reciting the rosary. But after a while, you can start to use it as a device to elevate your mindfulness, to think about who you're, to evaluate how good you are with your integrity and becoming the person that you've documented for yourself. So, and one subsection of that, coming back to your question, is what you say to yourself about yourself when you're about to make a sales call. So my definition of identity, what is your identity? Your identity is the things you say to yourself about yourself when no one else is looking. The things you say to yourself about yourself when no one else is looking. And if you let that be things that just occur by accident or without being mindful and proactive about it, often it's not very useful. So why not recalibrate and reframe the things that we say to ourselves about ourselves, and do that in a way that gives us a better chance to get a positive outcome.
So there you go. That's like a twofer today. Help with your sales calls, and probably help with pretty much every aspect of your life if you take action. This guy just generates genius ideas like this from hard practical experience. Every time I talk to him, I couldn't recommend him more highly. He's an amazing business coach on a whole nother level, and he will help you. So I would suggest you give him a call, or give him an email, john@w5coaching.com, or check out his website, w5coaching.com. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure today.